going to find that thing that I have to play.
Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. So, Nick is currently working on getting that agenda to put in chat so you can all sign in and we can document everyone's attendance here. It should be a pretty quick meeting. We're hoping to be done by 8:30. We will have some time for questions at the end as well. I am going to share my screen, even though I'm screen recording, so this should be, I think I got it. So you can actually see the agenda while Nick's working on it. The last meeting follow-up is there. We talked about Super Smash Brothers 1v1s for the state of Indiana. That's an exciting opportunity because we know our students like playing 1v1 Smash Brothers. It's just online that's not a great experience. So this is an option and a vehicle for doing that. If you want more information, it's there in the agenda, and we can also answer some questions later on. There'll be some online qualifying tournaments coming up. So if your kids are interested, make sure you get on that soon-ish. We wrapped up scheduling and talked about LeagueOS and all those sorts of things. The Spin College Fair we'll talk about in a second. And content competitions. We introduced that idea, and we're asking for volunteers to be a part of that team. We are launching our first content competition. Dylan put an announcement in Discord today. If you missed that, we'll mention it during the meeting as well. That's probably the thing I am currently most excited about. There's a lot of really cool opportunities coming up with some partnerships that we're working on. As far as new business, we just wanted to start with a little bit of a PSA of kind of coming out of that Spin College Fair. So we realized we got that information, at least the specifics, out to you a little bit later than we wanted. But it was a little bit disappointing that we couldn't carry either of those college fairs due to participation from schools. So what we really want you to think about is what can you as a coach do for your school? And one of the biggest things you can do is just pass along opportunities. So Nick, Nathan, Dylan, and I, we spend a decent amount of time working on generating these opportunities for the league and for you as individual schools. We know not everyone's going to be able to do all of them. We know scheduling happens and you can't always make things work. But we just really do want to encourage you at least pass along this information to your students. A lot of the times, these sorts of opportunities don't require a lot from you directly, other than communicating to your students. And since we don't have a direct line to them, we're really relying on you as your program director or head coach to do that. So we just don't want to lecture you, but do want to encourage you that there are a lot of these opportunities that exist, and it is a lot to keep track of, but try to keep your students in the loop so they can be involved. Stay Plugged In particular is probably the premier collegiate recruiting platform in America. They generate tons of scholarships and college opportunities for students. So it's great that we can be a part of that, but we can only do that as long as we're actually getting students involved. So try to keep that in mind. Also, shameless plug of thinking about what you can do as a school and a program for IEN. There's lots of opportunities we'll talk about even tonight about what that might look like, from generating videos to doing an Extra Life charity stream, being involved, either on the competition council, maybe seeking a board position eventually, or honestly just helping out. Maybe you're like, hey, we're not really ready for any leadership positions, but maybe you want to learn how we run the back end competitions on LeagueOS, and you want to help with that. Or maybe you want to help us generate social content for IEN. Or maybe we want to start doing match of a week streams. That's something that we've talked about a lot, is getting on the Indiana Esports Network Twitch and broadcasting a match of the week. Well, that really only works if enough of our programs are themselves broadcasting their matches. So there is some overlap between what you can do for your school and what you can do to help IEN grow. If you're interested in any of those things, talk to one of us. We're not trying to hold on to the reins of control so tightly that we're not letting anyone else in. We're asking for help, kind of overtly here. So if any of that is interesting to you, let us know, and we'll be happy to provide some resources on how you can help out not only your school, but IEN as well. Nathan, Nick, anything else to add on that front?
That was eloquent.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Great. LeagueOS updates and issues. So if you've been with us for a while, we've used a few competition platforms. LeagueOS is not perfect. We understand that. It is a lot better than some of the other solutions we've used. We know there are some pain points, specifically around communication. So our top priority with LeagueOS is making it so you get notified when people chat in your match chats, both in the client and to your email that is tied to your account. LeagueOS is working on that, and it should be available soon. So that is our number one priority in terms of LeagueOS. There are some other things as well, like little bugs about ties in Super Smash Bros. Aren't quite working correctly. So if you're playing Smash Brothers and you see a tie, it's kind of wonky in spots. We're working on those things as well. So the biggest thing is let us know if there's something with LeagueOS that you think isn't working correctly that you'd like to see be done differently. The developers are very responsive. It's a small team, so it takes a little bit of time to get some of these issues resolved, but they are very responsive to what we say and what we need from them as a platform. So relay through us what we can do to make your experience better, but just know we know that there are some issues and we're working on those. Some of the other ones like rescheduling matches can only be done up to 7 days out. Some of these things, I think Tetris is the other one, right? Tetris scoring not quite where we want it to be yet. So just keep in mind, we're trying as hard as we can with these things. It's a small development team at LeagueOS, but again, don't let that stop you from letting us know where there are issues and how we can make sure it's a smoother um, situation for all of us. On that note about communication, um, even though the default match time is 5 p.m. and you might be planning on playing at 5 p.m. for high school or 4:30 for middle school, that doesn't mean you should wait until 15 minutes before the match to communicate that with the other coach, right? Common courtesy is still the day before, sometime within that window, just reaching out and saying, hey, we have a match this week. We're good with the normal time. What are you expecting? There's always kind of this standoff of who's going to message first. Just if you have time and you're thinking about it or schedule time, go ahead and reach out on how to and just start that communication. We can use Discord if you're not getting responses on Match Chat, especially while we're resolving this notification issue. But it is still most convenient for everyone, us included, for notification and documentation purposes, to use the LeagueOS Match Chat. If you need to go somewhere else, that's fine. It would just be nice to document what you've communicated in LeagueOS for us to be able to see as well. Um, Expectations as far as match reporting, and I know there's some questions there. There is a video about how to match report, specifically in terms of starting your match. I know that was kind of a sticking point early on. We can probably, Nathan or Nick, link that video in chat with those procedures for how to do that and how to report scores. So the biggest thing is forfeits, and we know there are some that are occurring either due to drop teams or to schools just not being able to compete that day. What we really need you to do at this point is just mark that match as disputed if the opposing school is not marking themselves as forfeit. So you can only forfeit yourselves in LeagueOS, which is probably a good thing. You can't just go in and forfeit the other school. So in a situation where that needs to occur, go ahead and mark the match as disputed and communicate with one of us, and we'll go in and make sure that is marked as forfeit. We are penalizing forfeits this year. So you'll notice in some of the standings for some of these games, teams have negative points because we are assigning negative standings values to forfeits. We really want to try to minimize that as much as possible. It's not a good circumstance for the students on either team when matches are being forfeit. We do understand some things happen, but we really want to minimize that as much as possible. Along those lines as well, we are implementing sanctions for teams that have dropped out of competition or are forfeiting a number of matches. So what we're saying is if your team has dropped out of competition because it's folded or whatever that looks like, that team, that individual roster, or for that title, will be demoted to club for the following semester. So for instance, if your Overwatch 2 team crumbles and you can't get any more students to play, you say we're giving up for the rest of the season or the semester, then what will happen is the next semester you will be club for that Overwatch 2 team. And then if you perform well in club and play your matches as scheduled, then you'll be eligible for varsity or academy again. We're also going to say if you forfeit more than one match, so things happen, but if you're getting to the point where you're doing 2 or 3 forfeits, then we really need to evaluate whether or not you should be competing at varsity or academy, and you'll probably have a club season as well. So that might seem harsh, but we're noticing a lot of teams are forfeiting. So we need to make sure that we're getting to the point where we're all treating this in each other's time as it should be treated, which is why we're inputting these things. So if there are more questions about that, we can cover them. Looking in the chat specifically about Smash Brothers, yeah, Carrie, Nathan looks like he's going to get in chat and kind of respond with you there. If we still have questions at the end, we can come back and revisit that by unmuting and chatting. Nick, Nathan, good on communication expectations, all that stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. The video competition, and I see some of you are clicking that link. So this is what Dylan announced earlier today in Discord, and something that we've been working on for a little while. We're gonna start our content competitions with a video essay of sorts. So what it really is we're asking you to do is to make a 2 or 3 minute video explaining why you as a school do esports. What does it mean to you and your students? How has it changed your school culture? What successes have you seen? Just answer the question, why esports, in a video essay format. This can be with schools, this can be with like other administrators or whoever is involved in esports at your school, but we really want to showcase your students and what it means to them. You can be involved for sure in this video. It doesn't need to be 100% student produced, but I would suggest that it's obvious that students are involved. I don't think any of us want to see a video that looks like you hired a production company to come in and just document your students without them being involved in it. I think this is an opportunity for your students to gain some experience as well, but by all means, use resources to help them. Don't just throw them to the wolves and say, here, you have to do this all on your own. I think there's a good balance we can all strike there. So linked kind of gives you some of the explanations for what it is we're looking for, and I have it here as well. We are not quite ready to name our corporate sponsor for this event yet. We should be able to do that fairly soon. But it is a major player in the esports peripheral space. We'll drop that hint. And they're very excited to be working with us on this. So again, what we're looking for, tell a story, be creative in the way that you and your students present your information. All of the submissions for these videos are due December 1st via a Google form that's linked there and was linked in Discord. So you have, a month and a half to go through this process of submitting and recording. One of the cool parts is this sponsor that we have is not only going to provide prizing for the winning schools, but we're also looking at having them be involved with their social media team and doing some cool things online as well. There are some suggestions at the bottom for what it might look like, but again, what you're really doing is making a video essay on why esports is important to your school, what successes you've seen, as a way of telling people why you do what you do and why we as the Indiana Esports Network do what we do. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'm personally very excited about this. I think it's going to give us a chance to really showcase, the talent that we have in Indiana in terms of our students, but also how we're investing in our schools through the vehicle of esports.
And I would just say, make it like one of those things that teachers love to watch, that like, oh, pull at the heartstrings, or is cute, or is funny, or, get the kids involved, make sure that you're doing all those things that we as teachers like to click and share and watch up videos also.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as using school media teams, um, if your question about can you have them be the people to make it, I think, yeah, you can involve them, that's fine, but obviously the whole thing is about why esports. And so obviously your esports kids would be involved, maybe you're interviewing the esports kids, maybe you're doing game footage, or however you would do it. But yeah, you can include other groups.
Yeah. Other questions about this? Anything that didn't quite make sense? Thoughts?
Since we're uploading the videos to the Google form, are we throwing them in like a Google Drive first? Because obviously a 3-minute video, depending on how we're shooting it, could be 10 gigs if
Right.
we're doing 4K or whatnot. So
Yep, YouTube links, Vimeo, Google Drive, however you want to get a public link to share in that Google Doc or the Google form would be good. Just make sure it's publicly accessible via whatever platform you choose. Other questions? Okay. Well, if you think of something, drop it in chat, and we can always circle back around for that. Another thing I'm excited about, Extra Life. So if you're Nathan, you want to cover Extra Life? I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, I can. So Extra Life is a way for our programs to kind of give back to the community, specifically like our children's hospitals and different Miracle Network hospitals. So every year, the Extra Life throws what's called an Extra Life Day, and kind of think of it like a walkathon, but for like gaming, right? So like you can take donations and you can hold like an 8-hour stream, and then parents, families, friends, school staff members, community members can donate to your program's Extra Life page, and that money goes directly to that Miracle Network hospital. So you don't have to go crazy with it. I mean, me and Joe normally hold 24-hour streams. We do like a lock-in where the kids come in and they stay for 24 hours. You can do it in shifts. I realize that's a lot. But again, you can do a 4-hour stream on a Saturday or a 4-hour stream on a Friday or a 2-hour stream, whatever you want to do to kind of give back. But we try to encourage schools to do that. Joe, I believe our goal this year is 30, 20.
I think we said $20,000. I could be wrong.
The big thing is the more schools we do, the easier that's. If we get 20 schools and they each raise $1,000, well, there you go. We met our goal. And you can all choose individually different hospitals as well. Like I normally choose Riley's Children's. Joe, I don't know what you normally go with, but you can choose whatever hospital you want to support. Me and Joe have done it in the past. I know this will be my 4th year doing it. Joe, I think this will be your 2nd year doing it. So we're more than happy if you go, I have no idea what I'm doing or how to even logistically do this. You can set up a time with me and Joe and we can walk you through on how to set one up, set your page up. There's also an announcement in Discord that kind of walks you through what it is. And I linked my Extra Life stream from last year if you want to skim through it and kind of see what kind of things we did as well. So.
And you can partner up with other schools. So it doesn't have to be just you by yourself, by all means, right? Even if you're like, hey, we've got some kids that are interested, but we're not really sure about the streaming side of things, partner up with another school, and they can handle the streaming side, and you can be opponents for their players in these scrimmages and practice matches, right? Like when I have my students in there, I mean, there'll be times when they're not going to want to play or I don't have enough players. If you're like, hey, we can jump in at 10 a.m. and play a Rocket League match against your kids for your charity stream, that'd be great. That'd be super helpful for the other schools that are streaming as well. So it doesn't have to be a big ask for you as an individual school. You can help out other schools and the network as a whole. Andrew's saying they did it last year. The kids enjoy it. They asked me literally 3 days after our last event when the next one was.
It's one of my students' favorite events as well. And I don't think I mentioned a date on that. The official date for that is November 4th. However, you don't have to do it on November 4th. You can do it at any point from now until the end of the year, and that'll count towards the 2023 season. So you should be good if you want to do it. And again, if you want to reach out to either Joe or I, we can help you with that.
Yeah, and Riley Children's Hospital in particular, I know Donna, who is kind of like the liaison for Extra Life there. They're helpful and they give lots of support as well. There's like pre-made social media assets you can use and videos for advertisements and how to set up the pages. So it's some work, but they make it as easy as possible. And like Nathan said, we're definitely here to help. So consider doing this, again, even if it's kind of dipping your toe in this year, trying to figure out what it's like. But it's something that we as an organization will continue to do year after year. So keep that in mind for the future for participation as well. Any questions from anyone about Extra Life and what that looks like? All right. And then we came up with a list of some upcoming events just to kind of put everything in one spot. I don't believe these are in chronological order. Excuse me for that. Most of them are linked in the Discord under tournaments. So we mentioned the Super Smash Brothers 1v1s. So that's going to be kicking off as a qualifier with Spartan Smash, which is hosted by Manchester University. I know Garrett put some information in the Discord about that. That's coming up on November 18th at Manchester. The other qualifiers for Super Smash Brothers will be later on online. So those will start, I believe, in December. And we can take a look at those documents and get you those final dates. But the rest of those qualifiers will be online. And again, that leads to in-person at our state finals event in spring. And then after that will lead to the entirety of Indiana Open Smash Brothers 1v1 champions. I know Bluffton is hosting a tournament coming up. If somebody from Bluffton is here, they can advertise that. Purdue Northwest is hosting one as well that I know he put in the Discord. Noblesville, I believe, just made another post today about their upcoming tournament as well. So there's a few things coming up in terms of opportunities for your students. Make sure that you're checking that tournament channel on Discord for opportunities from colleges, universities, and other high schools. I know there'll be some more coming up in the spring as well, so there's always those extra opportunities to consider. And then just a few reminders. The spring split registration actually opens at the end of November. So spring starts in January, and the deadline is January 12th for spring registration. So we're opening up registration pretty early, November 27th, for you to be able to get all that done before winter break if you so choose. And then mandatory coaches meeting, we will have another one on January 30th. So the overall structure is we'll have 2 mandatory meetings a year. The August one and the January one will be mandatory. We'll have another Edpuzzle again. Nick loves that now. When you get some, he's promising more in-depth questions, I heard. So if you're not able to be in person, you have that to look forward to. This one will be a little more business-oriented in terms of officers and organizational sorts of things, but there will be lots of important information there for next year. Also announcements about state finals and the locations and some of the details for that. So plan on being at the January coaches meeting the 30th, 8 p.m., same Google Meet link, just with mandatory in front of it. Any questions about any of those upcoming events or reminders? Okay. The last thing we wanted to talk about, and I'll just mention this, and then I'll cut the video before we get to kind of answers, is we want to collect some information about Academy. And if Academy is a valuable offering, if it seems like too much, we noticed a lot of schools are in varsity and club without having an Academy team. So we're just kind of curious why that is. If any of you have specific reasons, we have some thoughts, but we don't want to go making assumptions. So the thought with Academy was it replaces JV in a meaningful way and provides something that was missing from our offerings. Maybe your feedback is that's not the case, and Academy isn't really filling a necessary void. So we're not going to make any changes for spring. For spring, we will still have the same format of at the high school level, varsity, academy, and club, and at the middle school level, varsity and academy. But we're throwing around ideas on how that might change for next school year. So think about that. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here. For everyone watching later, you're free to ask us the results of these conversations. But if you have specific feedback that you want to share, you can let us know in chat by unmuting here in a second or by reaching out to us on email. There's also an IEN comment box Google form that is floating around. We can link that again as well. So we're here to support you in whatever you need, and just let us know how we can do that.